You know you have TMS, mind-body syndrome, or neuroplastic symptoms. You know you need to think psychologically and do the emotional work. You know that this is a core part of reducing and eliminating symptoms. You know it is important to feel your feelings and express the ones that were shoved way down for years, probably starting many years ago. But how do you get these old emotions and feelings out? Welcome to the Treatment Within. My name is Tori and I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner, but way more importantly, someone who has recovered from severe neuroplastic symptoms. And feeling and expressing my past emotions was instrumental in my recovery. I'm going to share with you 6 ways that during the course of my recovery and still to this day, continue to get to those way deep down stuck emotions and feelings and help process and release them. And stick around to the end because there is one method that might surprise you that a lot of people try that didn't actually work for me. I'm going to give a lot of personal examples here, but please remember it does not matter if my symptoms are not your symptoms or my particular life circumstances are not yours. All of our symptoms come from the same place and have occurred for roughly the same broad reasons and act the same way. I am sure that these ways to get out the stuck emotions can work for you too. And please go ahead and modify or alter them in a way that speaks to you. All right, number 1, music. I use music all the time to get out stuck emotions. This is probably the most frequent method that I use because I listen to a ton of music and music has a lot of meaning for me. You can use music in several different ways. You can listen to old music from the past. Mine can range from childhood to deep into my recovery. The songs so easily bring back my emotional state of where I was at the time. The ones I listened to during my teenage years to young adulthood can elicit sadness for a youth gone by, for a girl that had so much promise, but then life things happened. Hell, it can even bring up anger about ex-boyfriends that I was never able to express. I listened to songs that were from what I consider the peak of my physical fitness before I had severe onset of TMS symptoms. I have my old marathon playlists and remember the joy and the glory in those races and can express the trauma and the rage that came after I developed my symptoms, where for a period of time, I never thought I would make another race playlist again because there would never be another race again. There are the songs I listened to when I was relearning how to walk that I can tap into my past fear and terror as I dragged my foot around my neighborhood and thought that I would be disabled at 42 years old. I feel the rage from that time where I believed all the wrong information that I had incurable neurological and medical disorders. I also use music to get excited about the future and visualize continuing to be better with my symptoms. For instance, I always look forward to Eurovision, which gave me some of my best runs this past spring, and also the Tomorrowland EDM Festival, where new sets just came out that are going to give me months of absolute joy and further my recovery. All right, number 2, physical activity. This is a multifactorial thing for me. Aerobic activity especially will get the blood pumping, the heart rate going, the heavy breathing, the sweat, the muscle fatigue. This stuff actually pushes your nervous system's limits and can get you in an emotional state. For years, I have treated people with panic attacks, and one of the ways we can help people with panic disorder overcome the panic attacks is actually with cardiovascular activity. Because when people with panic disorder get their heart rate up, feel sweaty, feel like they can't breathe well, this mimics the symptoms of a panic attack. And if they can learn to tolerate it with exercise, it is not so scary if it occurs in a panic situation. Although I love hardcore aerobic physical activity, this state can also harken back to early on after my TMS onset when I myself had physical anxiety symptoms. Previously, I had always been like a very cerebral anxiety person. It did not affect me physically and I never had panic attacks. But with the start of TMS, I remember for like 6 months, I felt like I was just on the verge of a panic attack every single second and just had incredible nausea and wanted to vomit. For me, there is still this bodily memory to those similar symptoms. So in this state, it becomes easier to access my old emotions and process the trauma. I also experience a lot of euphoria. Thank you, feel-good neurotransmitters, neurohormones, and neuromodulators towards the end of these types of activities and certainly after. If something has gone really well and I basically have set a new bar for myself or achieved a new goal, there is such a release of emotions and I cry all the happy tears. It is a little bit like, oh my God, it's over type of thing. Like when you've been through a really bad period of time or doing something unpleasant, like, I don't know, a root canal, and the procedure is finally done. That relief, it's like, wow, I've been through all of this and it's over. And like, let's look back and see how I'm such a strong person for making it through and can do amazing things. This was something I experienced early on when I was relearning how to walk, even before I knew about TMS. For 2 years, it was so common for me to cry at like every new bar I set for walking or running. My neighborhood thought I was nuts. Now I understand why it happens and why it has helped me with my recovery. Number 3, take advantage of anniversaries and holidays. Use those days to think psychologically. Use the memories, the feeling of the particular season, the smells of the food, hearing a Christmas song or watching a Christmas movie, or looking at old pictures from that same day years ago. The cultural assumption is that anniversaries are great and holidays are great. No, they're not. Okay, sure, sometimes, a lot of times they are, but they're also not. And anniversaries are not just like happy things like wedding anniversaries, even though those can be rife with difficult emotions too. They can also be anniversaries of deaths or getting fired or a breakup or divorce or the start of your symptoms or a diagnosis you received. As a psychiatric nurse practitioner, I've worked with so many people over the years where around anniversaries or holidays, because holidays are basically built-in anniversaries to the calendar, whose mental health goes off a cliff during this time. A lot of time, they have no idea why. I've seen so many examples as well in the Mindbody community. Someone might not understand why every May they get an increase in symptoms until someone makes the connection that in May, however many number of years ago, maybe there was some trauma or some significant event that happened. Anniversaries and holidays are such an easy time to start comparing our present to our past lives. In my first year of having symptoms, something like Christmas would come around and I'd be like, yeah, last Christmas, there was nothing wrong with me and I was a fully functional person, and now I have 10 new medical diagnoses and I had a year of complete hell. That will certainly bring up the emotion. The anniversaries of when I developed symptoms or had some great breakthrough, or when I discovered TMS, were all so important for my recovery. Now that I am 2.5 years out, it is so interesting to look back and see how I saw and dealt with the first anniversary of developing my symptoms prior to knowing about TMS versus the second year knowing about TMS. You guys don't need to be told, the second year was amazing. But yeah, that day still hurt. April 19th is always going to be a rough day for me for the rest of my life. There will always be much reflection, probably a lot of crying, a lot of reliving trauma and processing, but that all helps in furthering my recovery and moving beyond everything that happened to me and living a better life than from even before I had my symptoms. Some of you might have that exact day and others may not, but I'm sure you can pinpoint a time that you felt like, oh wow, something really major is going on with me in my body. Is this going to be with me for the rest of my life? And in the broader psychological work, these holidays and anniversaries are a good time to process old trauma or hurts from the past going way back. Going back to the Christmas example, it's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. Sure, maybe it was when you were a child and now it's not because of what you've been through and the symptoms. Or maybe it was terrible in your childhood and you've never had a good Christmas. Both are difficult and both can elicit strong emotions if you choose on those days to really think psychologically. Number 4. Revisiting the places that you had your symptoms or were evaluated for your symptoms or treated for your symptoms or overcame your symptoms. I won't go too deep on this one as I already have a whole long video about it that I will put the link for in the description. But those places, I know I sound woo-woo, but if you go there and you spend some time and you take it all in and you remember and feel the past of when you were there, it's powerful. A lot of time this can be a challenging exercise to do, as it might also be doctor's offices or hospitals that you don't have easy access to. But you can go sit in a car outside the place or get out of the car and walk to the entrance, sit in the waiting room, whatever it is. That was a hard one for me, and I felt I processed a ton of trauma by doing that. I shared some of this in my video on medical closure, which I will also put the link in the description below. I know for some of you, the symptoms developed at home or work or somewhere where you are still every day. But I believe that you can still go to these places and take your time alone, preferably uninterrupted. Like you probably won't be able to do this at work if it's like a normal work day. You can still go there with the intention of thinking about the specific moments there and what happened to you there. Okay, if you guys just heard that outside, this is Florida and it's a thunderstorm, so bear with me. If it's your house, someplace in the house like the stairs, the kitchen, the garage, where you had that big scary ouch, go there and do whatever it was that hurt you over and over. Or if it's not pain, then go to that place and spend time there without the symptoms and reflecting on the symptoms and how far you have come. Although I didn't develop TMS in Florida, I have spent a lot of time here prior to our move, and I have had plenty of symptoms here. And I plan to go back to the places where I have had the symptoms. And I have also had incredible breakthroughs in my symptoms in Florida. And those places are also worth a visit because they should be celebrated, as they were so instrumental in my recovery and knowing that I could recover and be okay. Those places are just as important as the ones where you developed or were treated for or experienced your symptoms. I plan to take you guys along for the ride on those ones. 5. Objects from your past. I do believe that objects hold a lot of your past and emotions. And something that was yours, like a treasured childhood toy or stuffed animal or a piece of clothing or a letter, or even something you yourself wrote, things from school or work or vacations or little keepsakes or whatever it is, like touch the object, hold the object, think about that time that it came into your life or what it meant for you in your life at that moment or what you were like when you had that object. I was fortunate enough that right before I decided to accept TMS fully and embark on the work, I had a very transformative experience where I was literally saddling the old medical model in TMS. And I believe that having the experience with objects from my past helped me see that TMS work was the way to my recovery. I was back at my childhood home in Boston, and I had brought Healing Back Pain with me. I read it during the trip, and the concepts and the importance of the psychological work were starting to make sense. During that week, I had the opportunity to go through my old childhood bedroom, and I have a ton of stuff in there, and it's everywhere. My parents don't throw anything away. So I bought some storage bins on Amazon to like organize it, and did it by like elementary school and summer camp and middle school and high school and college. And going through especially some of that older stuff, wow, the emotions came up. I cried a lot. I also felt a lot of comfort. I also found some super interesting things. Like there were a lot of notes that my friends wrote to me in high school that I saved, and a ton of them were like, Tori, why are you so mad? Why aren't you talking to us? And since I was reading Healing Back Pain, I was like, wow, the unconscious rage, maybe it was already all happening back then. Maybe I had so much rage already back then it became conscious. I don't know. I hadn't remembered it was that way at all, but that was super interesting to find. And of course, there was all the good memories, like finding my stuff from the sleepaway camp that I went to for 4 summers. That still to this day was one of the best times of my life. I mean, there are so many ways you can go with this one. But yes, finding and looking and touching your stuff from the past, especially super meaningful stuff, and maybe even farther back, the better. It can really bring some really old emotions out. And even like with my summer camp, where my memories were also happy, it could still bring that sadness that I'll never be able to go and do that experience again. Sure, it's life, and I'm like in my 40s now, but my id, deep in my unconscious, just wants to be that 10-year-old girl again, living the dream at summer camp. And here the rain starts, if you can hear it. Let's keep chugging along. Okay, I'm going to stop the teleprompter here. This is real time, people. Number 6. Number 6, thinking of very sad things that you have lost. Still does. Still does. My dog, Ivan. My dog, Ivan. I will be honest with you guys. I couldn't even type this one up for the teleprompter because it was too painful. So none of this is really edited, what I'm reading right now. And I stopped the teleprompter because I can't have it scroll. I won't keep up. So I will do my best here. I don't know if you can hear the rain, but it's appropriate, right? My best friend in the entire universe I miss so deeply. My dog Ivan, he died on January 14th of 2026, so about 7 months ago. This was in my 9th month of TMS recovery. In the days leading up to his death, the day of his death, where I've never cried so much in my life, and the days and weeks after, there was no such thing as stuck emotions in that period. No, they all came out. They all flowed out uncontrollably. They still do, like right now. His death brought up so much more about the fears of others dying, so much more about not appreciating time that you might have, and not just about with others, but times in your life that you may not have or appreciated and were gone. It brought up all the other times of deep loss that I never cried about, or certainly not enough. It brought up fears of my own death and what that might mean for other people. Thank you guys. Ivan was the best dog in the world, but for me and my TMS, he represented everything. He was the one sole witness to my severe onset where I lost my ability to walk in an instant because I was taking him on a nightly walk when it happened. He was the one who was at the forefront of my mind when it happened because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get him home. I almost had to crawl in the grass while he pulled me home on his leash. He was my primary reason to recover. I could live without running. I could even live without walking, but I could not live without being able to take care of my dog, my best friend. I knew I could still be a wife and a mom, even if I had to be one from just sitting on the couch. I knew I could still work despite my disability. I know people who are virtually mobile, like I was, could still be good mothers and wives and work. I could still sit, I could still talk, I could still type. But I did not feel that I could be a good mom to Ivan if I could not walk him. I could go on, but some of that will be for a future video about dealing with death or tragedy when you're recovering. So yeah, his picture, I have many. His old collar, his dog tag that I still keep in my run belt, his ashes, a footprint we have of him. I always can touch those things, feel those things, look at those things, and it will always bring up the emotions. For me, that is the easiest one because look what just happened. It's still so fresh because I love that dog more than anything. And I'm still so incredibly devastated that he is gone. And I know the meaning behind his death is connected to so many other things. I love you, buddy. Okay. Let me get a tissue. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Okay, are you still there? Are you still there? Oh, I knew that would be hard. I knew that would be hard. But as promised, what is the one thing that I do which I thought might elicit stuck emotions, but actually didn't? Journaling. Yes, journaling. And this seems to be common in other people. Look, journaling was super valuable in my recovery, and I filled tons of them, like tons of journals. But for me, it was all about drawing the connections and the aha moments. And sure, sometimes I'd be writing furiously and I'd be talking about how mad I was at people, but there would not be like these bigger moments like I experienced with my methods above, where I would just feel some massive release of emotions or feel something deep in the past come up and just expressing it with like the flood of tears or rage or anger or whatever it is. There are definitely times I cried when journaling and felt rage, but not to the degree of all these others. Journaling helped me just not getting so much of the stuck emotions. It was better for processing like recent things that had happened, and again, like really almost brainstorming and looking back at my symptoms and connecting the dots and coming up with all the evidence that everything was mind-body. I also journal a lot to write how proud of myself I am and my accomplishments. I still do that. That being said, it absolutely may get those stuck emotions out for you. It just did not for me. It's still a great recovery tool. Fortunately, I guess my journals have survived getting blotchy and illegible from all the tears. So that's it, my 6 ways to elicit stuck emotions. I am sure once this video posts, I may think of a few more, but I would love to hear how you get down to those deep emotions and bring them out. What did I miss? Or what else should I try? Please drop a comment below. It would make my day. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.